So the card that I'm going to focus on today is the Eight of Wands. And the Eight of Wands, it's kind of a minimal type card. There's not a whole lot on it. You just basically have the wands there, and they're in a particular order. You know, they're structured. Eight is a number of structure and organization, but everything else seems to be kind of diminished in the background. And I think that's for a good reason. I think that the main focus is all these things that are going on in this card. And so the wands are representing a lot of energy, but structured and focused energy. It's not chaotic energy. There's an organization to it, hence the pattern there. So that's really important when you get this card. And I think it's a really positive card to get. It's a really good card to get because it kind of means that you have everything in order. And now, because you have everything in order and you've worked out all the kinks, now the production quality has gone up. The level of production and the amount of things that are produced is going up. And whether that's ideas or if that's a product or if it's just, you know, something that's going on in your life that you want more of, more abundantly, then I think that this is a great card to get. Now, of course, you have to look at it in context with the other cards that are pulled, but I think overall, it's a nice card. And I've always appreciated getting this card in a reading. So the next card here is from the 78 Tarot Elemental, and it still has that structure, that pattern, but I wanted to point out on here the shape. That's the shape for fire. So it's that fire energy, but it's organized fire. And I think that a lot of times we think of fire energy and we think of it as chaotic and it just kind of burns and consumes. And that's kind of that Aries energy. But when we think about this card in terms of its astrological associations, it's Mercury and Sagittarius, and that means that that's a little bit more about communication and strategy, the mind, wisdom, and also direction and goals. And so you have that mixture when you have those two signs together. So you have the kind of planning phase with the Mercury energy, and then you also have the Sagittarius phase. You know how the centaur has that arrow and he's shooting it. Well, it has a goal, it has a point. And so that kind of goes into that whole definition of what this card actually could mean in a reading. Of course, you know, there are many different interpretations. You don't have to take mine, but I think that makes sense to me. Now, the next thing here that I have is from the Science Tarot, and we have the Big Bang. And again, you have this large amount of organized energy. And a lot of people think of the Big Bang as being chaotic, but it's not. There are patterns. It's produced what we have today. So I think this was a great option for this deck, for the Science Tarot, to pick that for the Eight of Wands. And then from the Physics Tarot, we have this, we have a radio, and it says radio transmitter. And this is really interesting because, you know, communication is Mercury, and then we have an antenna for the Sagittarius part of it. And so it has that combination. So I see why they picked that. And of course, you know, there are patterns. There is a frequency to a transmission. And so you have to pick up on that frequency. You have to have things in place and in order to receive that. So it's a two-way thing also when you have this energy, because there could be a lot of things coming your way, but are you ready for it? Either a good or bad. You know, there's a capacity that we all have when it comes to receiving information or receiving things. The next card kind of deals with that. This is from the 78 Tarot Astral. And this card, it deals with, okay, this person is receiving just way too much. They're putting too much into him and he can't hold it. There's not an amount of space. There's not enough space for him to contain everything that they're trying to give him. And so sometimes we're just not ready for, I don't know if they're trying to give him information or abilities, or they're trying to do something to this person here, but it just doesn't look like it's working. I want to read from the Starman Tarot because I think it really does kind of summarize all this really well. And it says, 8 to deal with structure, with geometries. While the wands carry the raw combustion energy, raw energy without a structure becomes rogue energy, unable to be harnessed towards a goal or purpose. Once you have this accurate geometry of your trajectory and the propellant to reach where you want to go, you can work with complete concentration. Your productivity increases exponentially. So that's what I was saying, just, you know, in a kind of a nutshell there. So the element that I want to focus on is called Palladium, and Palladium is an element that is associated with the goddess Athena. So Athena was also called Pallas Athena, and there's a lot of theories about where that name comes from, but it's a little bit chaotic and it's not really fleshed out exactly, you know, where that comes from. So, but still, if you think about what this element is associated with, basically Athena. And so it wasn't directly named after Athena. There is an asteroid that was found around the time that this was discovered and they named it Pallas. And so it kind of got its name by association. But still, it does have that same energy of Athena, I think, and it really does have that Eight of Wands energy. So Athena was a goddess of knowledge, of wisdom. She was a goddess also of war. And she was not so much on the, I don't know, not so much of like the wartime energy of chaos and destruction, but more of a strategist, more of a planner. She was able to organize wartime effort. And that's one of the qualities that she has anyway. And I think that really does match the kind of qualities I think fit with someone that's ready to embody that energy of the Eight of Wands, to really encompass what it means to take energy and arrange it in a way that it's efficient and effective. And that's one of the reasons why I really like that, the energy of that goddess. When I think about just energy in general, I think, okay, that's where it's at, because, you know, Aries in and of himself is, you know, it's cool. I mean, I'm in Aries, but that chaotic energy, it's good for some things, you know, it can consume, and then there's rebirth after the consumption, but there's just something missing there from my perspective. And so I think Aries is great, but there has to be that addition to the Aries tool belt, or it can be damaging. So the thing about that is, you know, in the suit of wands, you know, you have that fire energy, but one of the major cards, so this eighth card right here is like a key. It's really a strategic type of card that's been input into this suit, in my opinion, that really does set itself apart as like, hey, you know, take a break here to get this stuff together. You're at a certain point. Now things are really going to start going into effect. Palladium's able to handle a lot. It can handle a lot. And I think that if you can handle a lot and you're ready to take it on, then by all means do it. Palladium is named after, like I said, the asteroid Pallas. Pallas has been hit by more meteor impacts than any other asteroid we know in our solar system. It is beat up. It has been bombarded by, I mean, it's been basically just that's almost decimated, but it's still kept its form. I mean, it has big chunks missing off of it, but it's still there. So if you're ready to handle a lot of things going your way, then you might be at that point where that Eight of Wands energy is entering into your life. And you know, Palladium just by itself, Palladium can absorb 900 times the amount of hydrogen than its mass. So that's like, you know, I don't even know what to compare that to, but that's just an overwhelming amount of consumption. So now I want to focus on a crystal that I was looking at that goes with this, and it's the ruby. And the ruby it's Aries, Cancer, Leo, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. And so it kind of has a mixture of all those energies, but it is associated with planet Mars. But I did think that it still fit here. And I want to read some information about the ruby. It says, it imparts vigor to life, but may overstimulate irritable people. Ruby encourages passion for life, improving motivation and setting realistic goals. This stone wants you to follow your bliss, promoting positive dreams and clear visualizations. One of the stones of abundance, it aids in retaining wealth and passion. And, you know, it's interesting because I read that and I was like, man, you know, I'm reading this, I'm listening to the audiobook, The Sandman. If you don't have that one, oh man, that's a great audiobook. So it's called Sandman. It's Neil Gaiman, I think his name is. So it's about the god of dreams. So Morpheus, or the Sandman. And one of the items that he uses is a ruby. And it's really important to him for controlling dreams and controlling the astral realm. And it was stolen from him. And it was stolen by this guy. And the guy went crazy because he couldn't handle the energy of the ruby. And so he went crazy. He ended up in this place called Arkham Asylum, which is from the DC universe of Batman. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it's a mental institution. And so he ended up there for a long time. And during this time, Sandman was captured. There's a whole other story behind it, but he lost all of these things. He lost the ruby. He lost his bag of sand. He lost his helmet and all these stuff, and he had to get it all back. And so he goes to Arkham Asylum because he found out that this guy might have had it. And the guy had gone completely crazy. And then he leaves there, and he he finds the ruby, but when he touches the ruby, when Sandman touches the ruby, he passes out because the guy had modified it and messed it up. And so he ends up, the guy ends up getting the ruby back again and turning the entire complete city into lunatics. Everyone's going completely insane because it's just too much, and they weren't prepared for it. So Sandman is able to challenge this guy, get the ruby back, and fix it and everything, and return everything back into how it's supposed to be. And so that's what I wanted to cover here. I wanted to talk about the Eight of Wands, about that organized fire energy, and I think it's a really great card to get. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. And my name is Will. This is Atypical Tarot. See you guys next time. Bye.